Let's create a garment from scratch. In this video, we'll be creating this outfit. I'll attach the reference image for you to display on another screen while working on your patterns. It'll make the process smoother. First, let's load a character. Go to the collection, select Woman, and then open Model. You'll see 3 models. Since their body shapes are identical, you can choose any model to work with. Next, click on the 2D window to bring up the 2D toolbar. It's best to use the mouse wheel button for this. When you try to create a rectangular pattern, you'll see a dialog box labeled Clear All Garments. Click Yes to proceed. Place the rectangle pattern near the character's shadow, and we'll start by creating the neckline. Use the Add Point tool to add points. Then right-click and use Connect Handles to make a rounded neckline. Let's create the shoulder line. Refer to the reference image to match the shoulder shape. Then use the Add Point tool again to create an armhole similar to the one in the image. Adjust the width slightly so it's not too wide. Now, let's duplicate the back pattern. Select the pattern with the Transform tool and press Ctrl+C and Ctrl+B. For the back, we'll adjust the neckline to make it less deep to ensure better coverage. Let's sew the pieces together. Select the Sewing tool. Keep in mind that the side you see in the 2D window is the fabric's front side. When sewing, ensure the front sides face outward on the character. Sew the patterns so they form a cylindrical shape. Instead of sewing adjacent edges directly, sew closer edges together first, then sew the farther edges. As you hover over the edges, you'll notice the crosshair, notch, moves. Before clicking, ensure the dashed lines don't cross to avoid misaligned seams. Sew the far side of the shoulder and then the side seams. Leave the neckline and armholes unsewn so the character's arms can pass through. If you simulate the garment in this state, it will fall to the ground as the pieces aren't positioned around the character yet. Arrange the patterns around the character before simulating. I'll move the fallen patterns back to their original positions. In the 3D toolbar, you'll see a Placement Point tool. Select the tool, click on the front pattern, and choose a placement point to position it. Do the same for the back pattern, moving it behind the character and selecting a placement point. Since the sewing lines are already set, click the Simulate button. The garment will sew together. If it's slightly misplaced, use the Pinch tool to adjust the fit. Now that we've created the base, let's add a skirt. Use the Rectangle tool to create a rectangular pattern for the skirt. Adjust the shape to match the reference image. In the image, this section is slightly wider. Hold Shift to keep points aligned when moving them along the edge. To add a wavy shape, add a point in the middle, right-click, and use Connect Handles to create curves. Adjust the length as needed. Sew the pieces together and duplicate the back pattern. Use Ctrl+C and Ctrl+V, then right-click to flip horizontally for a mirrored back piece. Sew the patterns together, ensuring proper placement. Adjust the back pattern to avoid crossed seams, then use the Flip Horizontally function to fix the placement. Simulate and use the Pinch tool to fine-tune the fit. Let's sew the remaining seams on the sides. Simulate again to finalize the garment. Now, let's create sleeves. Use the Rectangle tool to make sleeve patterns and adjust the size. Add points to create a sleeve cap. Adjust the points to match the reference image. Add a center point, right-click, and use Connect Handles to create curves. Refine the edges to match the image. Sew the sleeve to the bodice. Match the sleeve cap with the shoulder section. Ensure the notch is aligned properly. Sew the remaining sections, ensuring alignment. Position the sleeve using the placement points, then simulate to attach it. Sew the inner seams and simulate again to finish the sleeve. Duplicate the sleeve for the opposite side. Sew, and simulate. Let's add some design elements. Create a hole in the front using the ellipse tool to add an internal shape. Right-click the internal outline and select Convert to Hole to make the cutout. If the circle appears distorted, it's due to the mesh's vertex distance. Adjust the vertex distance in the simulation menu under the property window. Lowering the value increases detail but may slow down the simulation. Use lower vertex distances for detailed areas and higher distances for simpler areas to optimize performance. Finally, let's apply materials. I'll use a dotted pattern material. After applying it, adjust the UV scale in the property window using the slider. You can customize sleeve textures separately if needed. Now the garment is complete. If you'd like, you can add accessories to enhance the character's look. Go to the Accessories section under Woman, where you'll find options like bags, necklaces, and stockings. Change the hairstyle and add shoes for the final touch. And with that, the design is complete.